if I'd ever caught the fire.
So what to say about the song Sunset? Some days I think it's one of the best things I've ever written. Other times I think it's just kind of maudlin garbage. I guess it might be maudlin garbage and still, be one of the best things I've ever written. In the 2018 version, this was called Sunset Grill, with the quotation marks being part of the title, right? The joke being that the title of the song was Sunset Grill, the Don Henley song. Like where the Don Henley song is named after a location called the Sunset Grill, my song was named after the Don Henley song. When I started writing the lyric, I had been texting a friend who was hungover in an airport. If I remember right, I think he was hungover in an airport, or probably still drunk in an airport. And he heard the song Sunset Grill, playing over the airport PA, or something in a restaurant or something. Had this weird reaction to it. There was this very ambiguous mixture of irony and melancholy. And, the lyric kind of started out as a way of trying to describe that feeling. So that's why I named it after the Henley song, which, is much, much too clever for its own good, and totally opaque to anyone who's not me. It was basically a joke that, I got in the habit of and never really bothered changing. And that's the kind of thing that happens when you take a set of demos and arbitrarily decide that you're going to call them an album. The joke is especially opaque because the lyric, of course, doesn't refer to the song. And in fact, it kind of sounds like, and I think is, addressed to a romantic partner, right? Either real or imagined. This is another song about the dislocation and disappointment of early middle age, right? It's a song about the sense that you have in your early 30s that everything is over and you're washed up. And, it's generally with the benefit of another 10 years of hindsight. That's often kind of exaggerated and silly, but, it's a feeling many people have at that age. God knows I did. The sense that life in your early 30s is fine enough, but nothing like what you had hoped for, and trying to hold on to a dream that you're not really sure is worth it anymore, right? A lot of the album is about that, really. There's an interesting ambiguity in the first couple verses of the song, right? Around the line, if I'd ever caught the fire, would I be in your arms tonight? If I'd ever learned to matter, would I be in your arms tonight? It's contextually unclear whether the protagonist is speaking to a lover that he only met because he, never really learned to matter, because the dreams of his 20s have failed, right? It's unclear whether he's speaking to a lover he only met because the dreams of his 20s failed, or if he's speaking to an imagined lover that he might have if the dreams of his 20s had succeeded, right? You could kind of read it either way. I don't actually remember now how I wrote it when I was writing the lyric. Sometimes you just sort of have phrases and you don't really interrogate the details of them beyond just kind of going, well, this has a nice ring to it and it fits the meter. I'm a lot more attentive now to the details of things like that. I don't think I would write with that kind of ambiguity now, but I do find that ambiguity interesting, that the meaning of it even eludes me a little bit. At the time I was making this album, I had just got when I was first making this album in 2018, I just got a Mellotron emulator plugin, MT Pro. I was quite excited about it. I put it all over the album. It's kind of one of the signature sounds of the original album, along with awkward, slightly off-kilter, out-of-time piano playing and flat vocals. This song in particular has like 8 different Mellotron sounds, right? It's mostly just piano, fake drums, and Mellotron.
My blood runs parallel to yours.
Probably I did that, because it felt like the song was a little too earnest and a little too pleasant, and had maybe the bones of an earnest pop song kind of under it. And, sticking all the Mellotron on it was a way of just kind of making it seem more progressive and artsy. But you have this relatively peppy first half. You have this big, loud build-up in the middle. You have a little interlude section in the aftermath of that. And then the second half is much slower and trippier. And then there's this sort of big cathedral of synth built around a mellotron phrase that rises as it repeats. When I first finished this and, went through and listened to the whole thing, at the risk of sounding too pleased with myself, that kind of ascending mellotron bit in the last quarter of this song, I really liked that a lot. It was one of my favorite passages on this album. And if the first half of the song is a little bit too plain and sappy, if nothing else, it's kind of there as a vehicle to set up that second half. I have to admit, I do still really like that section, in my own little imagined world where any of this matters. That's one of the signature passages in my catalog, and it still really moves me. Anyway, thanks for listening. Buy it on Bandcamp. See y'all in a week.